Hello and welcome, football fans. We are here and we are live. The Michigan Panthers Picks podcast coming right at you. A couple more there for the people. I know what you're thinking. Who is that mustachioed man screaming in my ear about spring football? Well,
you ever made out with a tugboat?
I'm FBI Tugboat caster, announcer, host extraordinaire, and I also love spring football, and I'm here. I'm live, bringing you guys live bets episode for week numero ocho. That is number 8, y'all. We have a pretty one-sided affair this week. Yes, Saturday, tomorrow, Friday, or today is Friday, tomorrow is Saturday, 1 p.m. on the West Coast. Memphis Showboats taking on the Michigan Panthers. Michigan Panthers playing from home. And the Houston Roughnecks visiting Birmingham. Both of these games were blowouts earlier. All of these games, Week 5 rematches as well. You can go back through, kind of see how these have played out already. Of course, the USFL division has already been solidified. It is going to be the Birmingham Stallions. It is going to be the Michigan Panthers. Your Michigan Panthers. My Michigan Panthers. Our Michigan Panthers. All it is left to be decided is, of course, seeding. Now, that seeding, we'll talk about this a little bit before we get into picks. Basically, folks, Birmingham would have to lose one of their games either to the Houston Roughnecks or the Memphis Showboats, which is widely regarded as two of the worst teams in the UFL, hands down the worst teams within the USFL division. Us, Michigan, would have to win out as well as beating the Birmingham Stallions at their home rematch earlier this season where we got beat by 7. And so Birmingham would have to lose one of those games and lose to us at home if we were going to start talking about seeding. As it is, let's talk a little bit about last week up into this week. Last week, 3-1-1. Arlington, -3, the lock of the week. Absolutely smashed that. Arlington wiped the floor with the Memphis Showboats. It was a high-scoring affair as well, over 45. One of the two totals that I told you guys I've had such problems with in the past few weeks did hit. Birmingham got it in there early. Anybody who took this late, anybody who took this at -4.5 or 5 missed it. Me. It was early bird. I got the worm right here. I was up and I was early onto this one. Birmingham -3.5. That hit. Anybody who took it at 4 did push. Moving on along to the later slate. That was the -3. That was the push for the San Antonio Brahmas. A little bit of late game stuff right there. A little shenaniganery. Ended up in a -3 push. Anybody who took it earlier than me, anybody who took my advice about taking earlier bets with the San Antonio game, got them at -2.5, -2 even, I think is where it opened up at. Did cash. I just pushed. Wah, wah, wah.
The numbers, basically. What do they mean?
Well, the numbers for this one meant a blown over of 39.5, my only loss of last week. Again, that was 3-1-1, improving upon the overall record now coming into week number 8. Memphis Showboats taking on the Michigan Panthers, -8.5. We're laying 8.5. 47 is the highest total of this week. Memphis showing up +370 on the money line. Feel like this should be higher, given that we are -8.5. That is quite a large point spread. As far as news, Panthers were losing Kainakua and Sayusi Mariner, our wide receiver 2 or 3. Really, if that's the question, you've been listening to the podcast. Really, Michigan is doing a fantastic job of rotating fantastic wide receivers in throughout. Marcus Sims was numero uno, head honcho. Across weeks 1 through 5, really. Trey Quinn obviously showing up there as well. In more recent weeks, it has been Sayusi Mariner. And, of course, Samson Nakua showing up right there. Well, half of our Nakuas are out. Inactive roster for Kainakua has led the league in interception, will not be playing this week. We also lost Frank Ginda last week, so our defense, on paper, taking a couple of hits, but they showed up and showed what they can do last week. Kainakua's 8 solo tackles, had 8 tackles, 8 solo tackles last week. It's going to be hard to recreate that. Mariner out as well. Troy Williams, the quarterback 2 here, has started a couple of weeks for the Memphis Showboats, out as well. Guys, do not overthink this. Got to shut down the brain a little bit. This is a Decent little blowout last time, and the Michigan Panthers have only gotten better. One of the locks going to be minus 8.5 here for the Michigan Panthers. If you guys remember from weeks past, I will give you my picks on these as far as like I lean, whenever I say I lean XYZ, that means I am, gun to the head, gotta take it one way or the other. But it is not something that I will be laying American dollars on. USD staying in the pockets for the over-under bet on this. I am leaning under 47.5, not placing money on it. Moving on along to the prime time here, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on the West Coast. There's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Largest point spread differential we have seen this season so far, guys. First season for the UFL, 16.5. Birmingham laying a crap ton of points right here. Plus 1,000 on the money line there for the Houston Roughnecks. If they find their second W, I don't think so. Over-under set at 43. Once again, folks, this will be a lean onto the Birmingham Stallions. Shut down the brain, go this way. I feel like the only way you take Houston is if you're talking about their defense and you're talking about the Birmingham Stallions, who have already confirmed that Adrian Martinez will be starting, maybe playing a little bit of half pitch, half pace, something like this. Take an early lead and then coast that, something like an 8, 10, 11 point lead, coast that all the way in. That's the only way I can think that you could make a case the other way. As Houston Roughnecks have been anemic the past few weeks. The coaching, the play calling, even timeout management has been in the crapper, in the absolute gutter. I do not think this is something you should overthink. Again, leaning over 43 is almost simply because Birmingham seems like they can put that up themselves. Taking a look at our Sunday slate, early game, DC Defenders visiting the St. Louis Battlehawks. St. Louis Battlehawks coming off of an L last week against the Birmingham Stallions as a 4-point win for the Birmingham Stallions against St. Louis. Again, of course, that was away. St. Louis, though, they have signed a new quarterback, A.J. McCarron, the godsend of St. Louis, the man who chose to play in spring football over the NFL so that his kids could watch him play. Yes, I'm subjecting you to the same story that you have heard 90 different times during broadcasts of St. Louis regular seasons games so far this season. Gotta say, this is much more up in the air for me, but I'm leaning DC positive 8. Taking the points right here for DC. Jordan Tiamu, who comes in and plays, that'll be a much more solidified pick for me once that is gone forth and solidified. They will be releasing that tomorrow, I believe, or later today. Excuse me. So. Leaning DC right here. I think this is a little bit of a bounce back spot after they lost at home against us last week. We absolutely handled them, covered. I believe there's was it 23-9, 22-9, something like this, 13 or 14 points. We cover by a few right there. Leaning over, actually, this is one of the totals I actually feel really good about. The DC Defenders, St. Louis Battlehawks, both of these defenses have been anemic. St. Louis has been an amazing scoring team on offense thus far. A.J. McCarron out, you have to dial that back a little bit more. A.J. McCarron in, I'm going to say this goes up to like minus 11, something like this. So there's confirm right there as it is. I'm taking Posse 8, Posse 8 there for the DC Defenders. And actually feel confident about that over of 44.5. I see this being 31-26, 31-27, something like this. Going on along to the last. This is our lock of the week, folks. San Antonio, the Brahmas have barely squeaked by with just bare wins based on these 4th and 12 rules, based on the 3-point conversion rules. They might take a W here, but it's not going to happen. Even in the Alamo Dome, people have not been coming out in the past few weeks. Home field advantage can barely even be counted here for the San Antonio Brahmas. They're going back to Quentin Dormady. They have not learned their lesson as well. Luis Perez and the Arlington Renegades have the second highest overall offense in this league for a reason. Their passing offense fantastic. San Antonio's passing defense closer towards the middle. John Trey Kirkland and everybody else, they'll be able to put up points right here. I can definitely see San Antonio sneaking in a 1 or 2 point win. Folks, I already got it at Arlington plus 3.5. I feel much, much better about that, but even positive 3 and just teasing the push right here, still Arlington positive 3 all day long. going to be lean. And both of these teams' defenses are also anemic. Going to be leaning over 46, but with Quentin Dormady in there, not 100% sure about that one. As it is, let's get on into our locks and the numbers and what they
The
mean.
numbers, basically.
Y'all with the two
What do
times
they mean?
on that one. Classic Call of Duty comeback, or Call of Duty callback right there. Call of Duty callback. We're going to be looking at our locks now. Here, this is what you all came for. Arlington. I got it at plus 3.5. Feel fantastic about that. Plus 3 feels like another push. I have pushed more in these, not week 1, but weeks 2 to week 7. Last week I pushed more in the UFL in this spring football league than I ever have in any league, period, in a story across 5 weeks of play, especially given there's only 4 games per week. Plus 3 feels like a push. Still feeling good about a push. Of course, that unlocks potential here for Arlington to play spoiler to the San Antonio Brahma season. And when I say spoiler, I mean this is DC. They need to win, and they need San Antonio to lose. So their fate's kind of not in their hands right here. But given that this is a game being played beforehand, 9 o'clock, this will be done by 12:30 or so. So they'll be able to figure this one out. And of course, it's a 1-2 procedure right here. They have to win. San Antonio has to lose. Gonna be getting it done there. Hopefully for DC, they're gonna be trying to win. That's another big reason why I'm feeling that plus 8 right there. So talking about the locks right here, Arlington plus 3.5. This is lock of the week. Plus 3 here if you're on DK. Michigan, also feeling great about this one. Little Tony the Tiger action on that one. Michigan Panthers minus 8.5. There's a blowout last week. We have simply gotten better. Talked about it in the review preview. Talked about it on this week's of Polar Opposites or Solar Opposites as it's referred to when your host FBI Tugboat is going to be on there. Michigan 8.5. DC, I'm really feeling this I'm really feeling this positive 8. If you're not feeling that one, take the over. Take the over 45.5. Once again, that is the only one that I'm really feeling. I'm going to go ahead. You know what I'm saying? I've been talking about DC. I said lean earlier. I'm going to go ahead and lock it up here because you really need 4 picks for a full week. Would love 5. Not really feeling confident about other stuff. Once again, as a recap, positive 3.5 for Arlington. If you get on DK, positive 3 feels great. Michigan minus 8.5. DC plus 8. And R1 totals. Over 45.5 there for the DC Defenders visiting the St. Louis Battlehawks, trying to play a little bit of spoiler action. A lot of points right there, especially if Tiamo plays. And we feel even better about plus 8.5 if AJ McCarron for DC if AJ McCarron is not present. Thank you guys for listening. Go ahead and check out the UFM, the United Football Media Group. They have accepted me in. We have at least one person covering all 8 teams. I challenge you. Tell me another group that is doing it like that for the UFL, the United Football League. We also have some discussion shows. We have this gambling segment. We also have Brandon or the captain over there with the Memphis Showboats, the sink or swim segment. I believe that'll be out Saturday morning. He's got that early slate right there. If you want to listen to that one, get into your last minute bets and make some freaking money. I didn't say it earlier. If you're underage, you cannot gamble in your state legally if you're planning on gambling under the influence of intoxicants. And get on out. Take all of this advice. Throw it out there. Do not gamble, period. End of story. Follow away at FBI_Tugboat on literally everything. Instagram, Twitch, Discord, and Twitter. Be sure to follow the page here. Appreciate you guys for listening. Be sure to comment if you are both tailing or if you are either tailing or fading over there in the comments. And let's make some money. Bye-bye now.